Hi!
Hi, welcome to my house. So down here is my sister's room and the garage. Why don't you follow me upstairs?
Sela is excited to show me her new home. She points out the freshly painted walls and the carpet, which is new.
And then this is the lounge.
Wow!
And then this is the deck.
This is so huge! It's amazing. What did you think when you first came here and saw how big it was?
I was just, I was shocked at how big it was. Because from the outside it looks very small. So it was way bigger than I expected.
And there's another level? There's another floor?
So there's another, so follow me upstairs.
It's a 3-storey home, one of the newest public housing models which are being built in the area.
So this is my nephew's room, he's sleeping in there. This is my room, that's my sister's room. This is another laundry cupboard, and then that's the bathroom.
For Sela, just having her own room is a dream come true after the rough journey she's had the past few years. In 2016, Housing New Zealand served an eviction notice to Sela's family. It came on her birthday. Both she and her older sister Tonga say what happened next was traumatic.
We were kind of forced to pack everything up, and because my nana's house was around the corner, we just left everything there. But we didn't expect it to take so long for them to, because they did offer to help find us a house, but it was taking so long to the point where we ended up staying at my nana's house, along with all of our stuff, her stuff, my auntie and my disabled cousin at the time, and my nana, plus me, my little sister, my dad who was staying there at the time, Tonga and her son. We all stayed in a 3-bedroom house, so with 1 toilet, and it all ended in me staying in a tent, and then the rest all stayed inside. So they all cramped in a lounge about the size of my room for about a good 6 months.
How did that feel at the time?
It was, for me, because I was staying in the tent, it was exciting. So it was like, oh yay, like adventures. But then eventually I started realizing when winter came, because that's when we were around the time we were evicted. So when winter came, that's when I started to hit, because I started to get sick a lot. So then it just resulted in me like becoming like a little bit more like sad more often. I wasn't really appreciating everything, so it did teach me a lot.
It's an experience many New Zealanders would find difficult, but Sela, a student leader in her school, says it was good for her and her siblings because it helped them to grow up. At the end of 2016, her older sister Tonga became the legal guardian of her and her younger siblings and applied separately for a house under Housing New Zealand. The department found them a home in Mangere, South Auckland, but by then, most of the family's furniture and household goods were damaged after being stored in her nana's backyard during the winter. So the siblings started again from scratch. And for Sela, getting to school in Tamaki on public transport, which she says was often unreliable, was challenging.
To be safe, we'd have to wake up at 5. For public transport, we'd have to wake up at 5 and then walk to the town centre from our house, which was about a 10-minute walk. Then we'd have to bus to the nearest train station, which would be Otahu, and then train from there to GI, then walk from GI to school. So it was very time consuming and money consuming, but yeah, I think it was just draining. It was tiring and annoying.
And you had to do the same thing after school?
Yeah, we had to do the same thing on top of doing extracurriculum stuff like sports.
So if you had to stay for like netball training or something like that, what time were you eventually getting home?
So the latest that I usually would get home would be around like 10:30 and that, because I'd kind of be forced to either leave my other extracurriculums early or to like basically rush home, because there's a certain time limit with public transport and that, and then gas. I couldn't ask my sisters to come out and pick me up all the time every day, so it was really hard for me.
In the winter, Sela says she'd often be walking in the cold, the rain and the dark, but many of her friends are still doing the same.
I have a lot of friends that go through the same, and not even just friends, I know a lot of juniors, seniors at my school, and not even just in my school but in our community that do this. I see a lot of them busing all the way out south or training all the way out south just to go home and feel like they're living in a home, because they don't want to separate from their family, but then they also don't want to leave their own community and their friends.
Sela and her friends told us their families were struggling to meet the extra transport costs to get to school after being forced out of the community. When they shared their stories with First Up in May this year, TRC, the housing development company who took over Housing New Zealand in 2016, were quick to respond.
So the first thing we did was get in touch with Sawana, who's the principal at Tamaki College, and then Sawana met with the students, and one of my colleagues went down and attended that meeting as well. And we really encouraged the students who you interviewed to talk to their parents or guardians and to get in touch with us, and we were able to start the dialogue with them, which we did.
That's Neil Porteous, the General Manager of Housing at TRC.
In this case, Tonga got in touch with us through got in touch with me, and then I introduced her to Pete, and we worked through to getting the move back to Tamaki.
I met with someone from TRC, but he was very, very kind. I love so far from the workers that I've met, they were very, very professional, very kind, very sympathetic as well. The guy took myself, my friends who spoke within the story, and also our principal out to lunch, and he just basically got he just wanted an idea of what we'd like to see in the future houses, and our stories and stuff like that. Like, what would we like to change? He was very open-minded, and yeah, he just really, he went into depth, like explaining the reason why certain things happen and how he can help and how they can help, and yeah.
What did that feel like to you?
It felt good, because I felt like they cared.
So I'd really encourage any of your listeners or viewers who hear this and have had to move out of Tamaki because of the redevelopment to get in touch with us, and we'll work with them like we have with this whānau to support the move back here. Really, really happy to do that, and we'd really encourage them to do it. One of the challenges we face is we don't know what's happened historically, so it's really good to be presented with this opportunity to get the word out there and to have a conversation.
Peter Lawina is the housing case manager assigned to Sela and her family.
When Tonga first shared with me that, we understood that her siblings were commuting every morning and evening from South Auckland into the area, and that was really quite tough to hear, because not only is there the time, there's the expense, and so I guess wanting to be able to help and support Tamaki families, it was really important to understand exactly what happened.
Did you ever think that they'd listen and do something about it?
I honestly just thought the interview was an interview. I never thought that I would get this type of reaction. I never thought that my family would be we would receive this type of help.
Now it takes just 2 minutes for Sela, a student leader at Tamaki College, to walk to school.
It makes it way easier. I think it's just because I'm able just to be by myself now. I'm able to not worry about things. I live closer to school now, so my main concern, besides my grades, is just looking after my nephew and my sister, just taking care of them. So it's just giving me the opportunity to become more well-reserved and just work on my mental well-being.
Sela says she and many of her friends had never wanted to move school after they were forced out of their homes, because the school community was all they had left after being uprooted. Sela says she's sharing her story to help others.
I have a lot of friends who I know want to come back, and I have a lot of family who want to come back. And I think this is me reaching out like this is for them rather than for myself. I really do want to push people who have lived in the community, who have been moved out, to push to come back. If this is what you want, to do it, speak out for it. Even use me as an example, or use my name as a reference. I do really want the community, if it's what they want, to definitely push to come back.